Hello and welcome back to Chasing Excellence, a show about chasing what truly matters. My name is Patrick Cummings. As always, I'm here with Ben Bergeron. Thank you all so very much for joining us. How are you, Ben?
Doing great. Thanks for chatting, Pat.
I forgot to tell you this before we started recording, so I'm just going to tell you now because I think it's funny. Michelle and the boys were with some friends the other day, and I don't know how it happened, but they were talking about how I've got a podcast, and this person who I don't really know that well, she was asking my oldest son, "Oh, what's your dad's podcast about?" And totally seriously said protein. And I was just so proud.
Oh, it's so good.
We
have a show about
it's not
protein.
at all, but I am so happy that that's what you took away from it. Whatever the hell I do in this little office.
Amazing.
Protein. All right. This episode, we've got listener questions where we take your questions about the 5 factors of health, those few fundamental behaviors that most positively affect our performance, vitality, and longevity. Specifically this time around, we're actually going to take 4 questions from members of the Chase Club, which is our premium membership. You can learn more about that, chasingexcellence.email. You can join us, which we would love. We're just wrapping up a book club. We've got bonus content. We've got other things we're working on for the future. So again, chasingexcellence.email. One of the things I try to do, and I'm going to try to do better at, is when Chase Club members send us questions, I'm going to try to bump them up to the top of the queue, do episodes like this so we can make sure we get to them quicker than we can with everybody else's questions. So we got 4 questions. We're going to jump right in. This first one is from Orsi. And here it is. Since COVID, I've been listening to your podcast and living by the motto of never whine, never complain, never make excuses. Last year, I became friends with a girl with whom I share many interests. We're moms of small kids. We both enjoy hiking. We train dogs. She just moved to the same town where we live. It sounded like a great beginning for a friendship, and it really was. However, in the past few months, she started adopting a victim mindset and became very gossipy. So I decided to reduce our time spent together to almost 0, as I realized I was not my best self after meeting with her. A few days ago, she asked me why I'd become so distant, and when I carefully tried to explain that I really want to surround myself with less negative talk, she told me I was being way too selfish and listening to other people's problems is part of friendships. To be honest, yes, it is a selfish move to remove myself from situations and relationships where not everything is perfect. What do you think about it? How selfish can somebody be in order to be their best self? Of course, I'm not talking about hard times with spouse and children, but with friends or extended family.
Yeah, good question, Orsi. So there's a couple of pieces to this. Yes, we want to surround ourselves with people that make us better, that challenge us, coach us, call us on our crap, but no drama, no gossip, no negativity, just good vibes and growth. So that's what we're trying to create. Now, your friend's not wrong as well as saying that there is a part of friendship that is there to be the lending ear and to share struggles with. Absolutely. But there's some asterisks, if you will, or there's some subplots to that. The first one is gossip. So you said that they're getting gossipy. Gossip should not be tolerated, in my opinion. That is not someone trying to, as she's saying, share and help navigate challenging circumstances. Mm-hmm. That's somebody talking badly about other people's behind people's backs, and what they're trying to do is forge a connection with you. And that's what humans do. Is the easiest way to feel connected to somebody is by talking about shared experiences. And a friend is a very, very powerful shared experience. It's a living, breathing thing. There's a lot to talk about in that. So the conversation probably went from, I think you said like hiking and walking dogs, to then talking about Brett, Jill, Susan, and Sarah, right? And that's when that becomes negative and gossipy, you calling it out is really powerful. And I commend you for that. But there is another point as well, which is if it's not the gossip and it's her trying to talk to you about things that she's struggling with, there's probably a responsibility on her side and a tact that you could take. And that is, if she's trying to do what she's saying she's doing, what we want to clarify is, and you don't have to do it in these like pointed ways, but am I here to listen or am I here to help? And those are two different things. And a lot of times listening is help. And I've been in this situation where I just need to talk. I just need to talk through something. And I'm actually not looking for somebody to say, well, I think what you should do is ... I just want to get off my chest. And this is where, my wife, Heather, it's such a benefit. Like there's a lot of times that I'll be like, hey, I'll say it. And she's like, do you want my 2 cents on it? I'm like, no, actually that was enough. Yeah. I just need to get it off and offload it a little bit, because otherwise we're carrying this around with us. And just this knowledge that somebody else has this understanding can be really powerful. And there's an incredible short film called It's Not About the Nail. I really recommend people check that out. It's probably 2.5 minutes long, and it's given through the perspective of guys want to fix things, girls want to talk about things. And it's really powerful. While it is that stereotypical, and I think there's some credence and some power to it, it's not binary. It's like there's times that I just said I want to just share things and offload them and have people listen. So that approach of like, hey, do you want my advice on this, or are you just venting a little bit? And that can be helpful. And that having that shared language with each other, like, hey, there is an appropriate time, and there is going to be times that I just want to vent. But if venting becomes the norm, and it's just venting to venting, and venting becomes the default level of conversation, meaning that it's not there for, I want to say like therapy, right? It's not there because I need to offload this to somebody else, but she's probably having this conversation with other people. And this is just the way that she communicates. That's very, very different. And what we would like to do, if that's the situation, is ask people to share problems with a solution-oriented mindset. So this is the difference of complaining and trying to solve things. You just saying like, I hate this, it's so freaking cold outside. That's just complaining. You saying, wow, it's really cold outside. Do you think I should go back inside and get a jacket? Like, that's different. It's really cold outside. Do you think that we could leave the game 10 minutes early? Like, that's different than just like sitting there pointing at things that are not in your control that you don't like, aka definition complaining. If you don't have control over it and you don't like it, that is the definition of a complaint. But there's a difference between a complaint and trying to solve something. And the difference is huge. It's all about intentionality. Like, let's try to work through this and fix it and make it better. The other one is just like venting just to vent. And, we've talked about a bunch of times, but it ends up being the reticular activation system, the RAS, or the frequency illusion. And what you end up seeing is more of the things that you don't like, and your life becomes negative and ends up in that sewer cycle. So this is not a small thing. And I credit Orsi for having the awareness of trying to surround herself with like-minded, positive, uplifting people that are going to challenge but make her better. But at the same time, we can't just do this every single time somebody brings up a negative, because it is part of being a friend as well.
Mm-hmm. What about her question? How selfish can someone be in order to be their best self? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think that this is a question of selfishness is the answer. If you're doing this what you're doing is for selfish reasons, right? It's like going to the gym. Mm-hmm. Are you going to the gym because your pure motive is so that you can look better? That's selfish, right? Because you looking better helps you feel better about yourself. I'm not saying that's wrong, but that's a more selfish reason than I'm going to the gym so I can be more patient. I know what it does for me mentally. I can be more productive. I know what it does for me from a physicality standpoint. And I don't want people to take care of me later on in life. Well, in that sense, two people are going to the gym, spending the same amount of time, but one is a completely selfish act and the other is the most selfless act, because I don't want people to take care of me. Mm-hmm. I don't want people to have to pick me up out of a chair and, dress me. And I'm going to do all of these things now so it's a very selfless act. So it's not a matter of the acts. It's a matter of, again, about the intentionality behind the acts. Because the same thing, you cutting someone out of your life, it could be because like, I don't want to deal with that person when like, no, like that's part of being a friend, like dealing with somebody, but I don't want to deal with that person because they're truly draining me and the other things. And they are like, it's hard to just go like on a scale of 1 to 10, you're allowed to be a 3 on the selfish scale.
Right. Yep. Got it. Okay. Thank you, Orsi, for the question. Next one is from Juan. I've been doing CrossFit for 10 years. I've got my L1. I just got my CPT from NASM. Remind me what that stands for?
National Academy of Sports Medicine.
There you go. I've always wanted to be my own boss and start my own personal training business. Should I coach at my local box or Globo gym? Should I make an LLC? What should be my next 3 to 5 steps on this journey?
Okay.
What would you do if you were starting over?
Yeah. I would start, is what I would do. I would get a client. Now that would be because you're going to learn more by having a client than you will by doing anything else. That would be my number 1, because you have to be in the arena. Otherwise, you're just still studying, But number 2, if you have the opportunity, would be to get a mentor. Now that could be at a global gym. It could be at a CrossFit gym. It could be somebody that you are from afar, but somebody that can help guide you. And that would be, honestly, that's steps 1, 2, and all of them. There isn't a one after that, because the mentor is the one that's going to help you. Now, here's the thing about the mentor. And I've had people reach out to me asking if I would mentor them. That's selfish. What's in it for the mentor? Now, because if you don't know this person, if I know the person that's asking, I'm way more inclined, because what's in it for me is helping groom and grow that person. But I've had plenty of people reach out being like, hey, I saw that you trained Katrin. I want to be a games level coach. Would you mentor me? It's like, so I'm giving up spending time with my family to mentor you. That's the way I look at it, is because my work hours, anything outside of what is already set, eats into either my family time, which ends up being, unfortunately, the most flexible, because I'm not going to cut my workouts short. Yep. I'm not going to not brush my teeth. I'm not going to not shower. I'm not going to all of a sudden teleport to work. I still have to drive and take the time to do that. So the only flexible thing that I really have is time with my family or time for myself. So if I don't know you, this is me, and maybe other people are different. I don't get a lot of reward for that. I don't. Now, if it's one of my coaches here and like, hey, would you mentor me? Absolutely. Like I would hope that they actually don't even have to ask that, because I do it anyway. But you get the point. If I saw, it's going to feel like 7 degrees of separation for Kevin Bacon, but my sister-in-law's sister's son.
Got it.
Okay. He's an exercise science major. I ran into him earlier this summer, and he wants to explore different things. Do I want to be a performance coach? Do I want to work for a professional sports team? Do I want to go to athletic training? Do I want to be a personal trainer? Do I want to try and open up a gym? I was like, dude, come and spend 3 days with us, and then let's chat once a month and figure out, because there's reward to that for me. I get to see this kid grow, and can I help out in that sense? So here's the punchline to this. First thing, what should you do? Try to get a client. You said personal training, get a personal training client. The next is get a mentor. But when you get a mentor, if it's not somebody that you're already very close with, what are you going to do for that person? Dude, I'll come in and I'll clean your bathrooms. I'll clean your bathrooms 3 times a week. If you will chat with me for an hour every week, I will be there Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and I will clean your bathroom every single night. That's a trade. That's an equal trade. So that would be my suggestion, is to offer your services to them. I've had other people, I'll take over your Instagram account. I'm really excited with exercise science. I wasn't that in my major. I was actually a communications major, and I helped a couple brands go from 0 to 1. And I would love to help you do the same if you would give me some advice along the way of how I could kind of shift gears.
I like it. Great. Thank you, Juan. For the question, we're going to be back with 2 more, but first, a quick word of thanks from a few of our sponsors. We're brought to you this week by Magic Spoon. If you're looking for a delicious way to start your day without totally blowing your nutrition, let me introduce you to Magic Spoon, the cereal that takes you back to your childhood with every crunchy bite. You can get $5 off your next order by heading to magicspoon.com/excellence. I grew up loving cereal more than I can possibly explain to you. But as I got older, I realized that most cereals should actually be put in the candy aisle, but not Magic Spoon. It's packed with 13 grams of protein and 0 grams of sugar per serving, making it perfect for anyone living a carb-conscious lifestyle. Their most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, but there's so much more than those. Plus, that's not all. Magic Spoon has expanded into high-protein treats. These crispy, crunchy, and airy bars are fantastic for a quick snack. My kids love them too, by the way. With flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter, they're available in grocery stores right now, giving you 11 grams of protein on the go with every single one. I personally enjoy Magic Spoon treats after a workout or as a late-night snack. They've also got great flavor and texture, and they just make me happy. They just make me happy. There's nothing wrong with that. Remember, you can get $5 off at magicspoon.com/excellence. So hold on to the dream and enjoy a simple, high-quality cereal experience with Magic Spoon. We're also brought to you this time around by a new sponsor, a sponsor I'm excited about. I want you to pay attention. They're called Our Place. If you're looking to upgrade your kitchen game, Our Place is where it's at. Visit FromOurPlace.com. Use the code excellence at checkout and you'll get 10% off everything they've got on their website. But I'll warn you, save yourself some time because once you get there, you're going to want to click all the things because they've got some really cool products. So let me tell you why Our Place should be your next go-to for kitchen essentials. Most cookware and appliances are made with forever chemicals. These are harmful to both the environment and our health, but Our Place is leading the change. They're a mission-driven, female-founded brand that creates beautiful, healthy, and sustainable kitchen products. Their cookware is free from PFAS and PTFE, which I believe is just Teflon, unlike most nonstick pans today. And it's not just about cookware. Even appliances like air fryers and blenders are free from these chemicals. Our Place makes cooking at home easier and more enjoyable. Their beautifully designed products not only add a touch of elegance to your kitchen, but also inspire creativity and experimentation. I'm not kidding. This stuff is beautiful. You're going to want to put it on your counter. You want to want your friends to look at it. Plus over 75,000 five-star reviews and mentions in the New York Times and Bon Appetit. It's clear that Our Place is making waves. So why wait? Upgrade to Our Place today and say goodbye to forever chemicals in your kitchen and also all those ugly appliances that you've got sitting around. Don't forget, FromOurPlace.com. Use the code excellence to get that 10% discount. Plus, they offer a 100-day trial with free shipping and return. So there you go, FromOurPlace.com. Jumping back into our questions here. This next one is from Rach. I've been doing CrossFit for 2.5 years. Before that, I taught group fitness for 15 years. I love CrossFit as I believe it's the best way for me to train at my age. I entered my first amateur competition last November and finished third in my age group, which I was super happy about. My question is, do you have any suggestions for improving competitiveness in amateur competitions? My gym follows CompTrain and I train religiously 6 days a week without doing much extra, as I have seen what just following the program has done for me. I'm the strongest and fittest I've ever been. I wear Whoop 24/7 to track sleep and recovery, and I'm a pescatarian who eats well. I also read and listen to a lot about high performance to try and keep my brain in check. Aside from improving my skills in CrossFit, is there anything else you'd recommend?
Yeah, cool. Love that, Rach. Love that you've been in the best shape of your life and you're kicking some butt in some CrossFit competitions.
She doesn't say her age, but she did say finish third in her age group. So I'm just taking a wild guess and say maybe master's level, because that tends to be where people start identifying age groups.
Yeah, but Jim follows CompTrain, and I love that. So here's my suggestion, which is continue to do what you're doing. You don't need to do a whole lot more. You've obviously seen the results, and that those will continue. But particularly important in the sport of CrossFit is to identify your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. So if we were to, and it is different than other sports. If you were a wide receiver in football and you knew that speed was your biggest detriment, but your hands are amazing, you spending the entire offseason on your speed might improve your speed a little bit and you go from below average to maybe average, but you not working with your hands for an entire season might make that elite hand performance closer to average. And now you're out of the league, honestly. So in normal sports, doubling down on weaknesses does not pay off the way it does in CrossFit. And the reason for that is if your weakness pops up, you can't avoid it. You can't overcome it with something else. So this is where, let's say your weakness is double unders. And let's say the workout is like at the open, deadlift, double unders, and rowing. Mm-hmm. And you are the best in your age group at rowing and deadlifts, but you're very, very below average in double unders. You don't get to, your deadlifts and double unders account for 0 in that workout because you're going to be completely limited by your limiting factor. That's why the saying is, identify your weaknesses, make friends with them, and then beat them to death. So the way to do this is, that's the short answer, is identify your weaknesses. Now, if you are, you won't be able to do this through your gym necessarily, but if you're in the CompTrain app, if you click on the profile and you put in your scores, it actually tells you your strengths and weaknesses in the CompTrain app for all the movements that we do, which is really cool. So you can do it that way. Otherwise, you have to do a little self-assessment and try to figure out where you are relative to your cohort. So it's not you versus games athletes. Mm-hmm. We're going to be weak at everything. It's not you versus my grandmother. You're going to be an elite athlete compared to her. But relative to the people you're competing with, which is the people in these local competitions that you're going up against. Because if all of them struggle with double unders a little bit, and they, everybody can only do about 35 unbroken, then that's the norm. And then from there, what you want to do is once you've identified what the weakness is, then you want to root the issue. And the way you root it is you figure out what is the thing that's actually holding you up. Because what a lot of people do with double unders, just stay on that thread for a little bit, is they work on their double unders after the workout. But it's not a fitness thing. If you're working on your double unders in a pre-fatigued state, you're building fitness there. For most people, it's a coordination issue. It's a timing issue. It's a skill issue, which is a neurological issue, which should be done should be worked on in a rested state. Otherwise, you're going to be limited by the fitness component. So in that case, you do it before the workout. So what the heck am I talking about? You root it and you figure out, is this something that needs to have better strength or a bigger engine? If it is, you train it. I mean, you keep doing workouts and strength. If it's a skill thing, this is a big one for like climbing ropes. Mm-hmm. People say they just keep climbing ropes and they do them the really crappy, inefficient way that they do in workouts because they don't take the time to practice it in a rested state and actually get better at the mechanics of the movement. So if it is not a fitness or a engine or a strength thing, it's a skill thing. It might be mobility. We'll put that aside for a second, but it's most likely a skill thing. If it is a skill thing, you need to practice this movement. And the practicing happens before your workout, not after, in a rested state. And it needs to be done at a low heart rate with lots and lots of intentionality. And you just do that, 3 times a week pick the single weakness and work on it one at a time. This is what Matt Fraser did as well as anybody. Matt Fraser realized he wasn't good at rowing. So he did rowing intervals. He did 5,000 meters of rowing intervals 3 days a week until it wasn't a weakness anymore on top of his regular training. Then he found out it was GHDs. So he did 150 GHD sit-ups for like 50 days straight until they were no longer a weakness anymore. He's just like, you identify it, you make friends with it. Making friends is like, okay, hi, we're going to be hanging out for a little bit, and you beat it to death. That's what I mean by that.
Yep. One follow-up question, just thinking about that Fraser example, because I think it can be really obvious for Rach or for anybody in this position to be like, well, I've got double unders and I stink at box jumps and I can't do chest to bar pull-up. And so, okay, now I've got to try to solve for all 3 of those or 5 of those or however many number of weaknesses that they can identify. Using Matt as the example, is it better to say, okay, which one am I going to work on for the next fill in the blank number of days or hours or sessions, whatever it is, versus, okay, now I've got 5 things I want to work on. I'm going to try to do a little bit of it every single week. Is there a better strategy in your experience?
There is, yes, and you do the one. Yep. You do the one, because otherwise what you're doing is you're just doing more training.
Right. Right. Got it. Cool. Love it. Okay. Last question we've got is from Mick. This is what he says. My father passed away a month and a half ago, and I find myself hitting an emotional wall during my workouts. I'm a fitness lover, partaking in CrossFit and endurance training, half marathons, Spartan races, duathlons. My question is, how do I compartmentalize while I train? Is there a book recommendation or any advice you may have?
Wow. Was it Nick or Mick?
Mick with an M.
Mick. Mick, very, very sorry for your loss. I think it's very brave of you at this point to be reaching out about this. And my answer to this would be, nope, there is no book, there is no resources, and you're not supposed to compartmentalize at this point. This is still fresh. The wound is still open. You're still grieving. It's supposed to hurt. It's supposed to be distracting. And there's supposed to be times where you feel like you're in an abyss that you feel like you are never going to come out of. You will. You will come out of it. This will not be an issue in time, but it requires time. And 6 weeks is not enough time for you not to be thinking about these things when you're working out. In fact, I think it's what you should be doing, is thinking about this when you're working out. When you're working out, it's what we talk about all the time, is I think that, most people don't realize that there's a voice constantly chattering in their heads. They don't realize that. They don't realize it until they're in a moment of really high stress, because then the voice starts screaming. And when the voice starts screaming, we go, whoa, there's that weird voice in there. Like, go away. I don't like that. Except for people that work out. People that work out know that voice is there all the time. Mm-hmm. That's a powerful thing. It's something we just take completely for granted, is the recognition that there is that voice in your head that's essentially trying to tell a story constantly. Not to get a layer deep into this thing, but that voice is not you. That voice is not you. That voice is there for your presentation. It's presenting something to you. It's just like putting things up on a movie screen and you're watching a slideshow, but it's like a voice. If you have bad thoughts, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. That voice is not you. Now, this is getting a little bit away from Mick's conversation, but when you work out, the voice gets loud. And that voice is talking about how much you miss, someone that you loved. And that's okay. Just let it do its thing. Mm-hmm. Don't try to compartmentalize it. That's you pushing things down when they're trying to bubble up, and just experience them. Let them happen.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. And that's exactly what I was thinking. I think when we're in the midst of these workouts, I think they're the very unique environment or moment where everything else almost gets stripped away to nothingness, because in the rest of the world, in our lives, all day long as we walk around, there's nothing but a series of distractions. Right. And some of those distractions, as we've talked about, are things that we pick up and we look at because we don't want there to be no distractions. And some of them are just because we're always on the lookout for things that might eat us or food. But in the middle of a workout, those distractions disappear. At some point, you stop hearing the music in the gym, right? At some point, all you hear is the voice in your head that says, you know what? I don't know if I got another rep in me, or I think I can go faster, right? And so I just love the advice. Like, this is actually everywhere else in your life, you're compartmentalizing.
Right.
Don't let the gym, don't let these workouts, which Mick says is such a big part of his life. Like, don't let this be a place that you try to force compartmentalization into it, because it's this beautiful place where we don't compartmentalize. It's like we strip ourselves bare.
This is where you work through the stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And so I think if nothing else, Mick, like, it's beautiful that you recognize that this is happening.
Yep.
And then, good, don't try to fight it. Try to just, as you said, Ben, like, just sit in it and let it be the place where you do wrestle with things that you should be wrestling with, that we all wrestle with to the degree that we do when we have to. And so, yeah, don't push it away, because that's what you're doing everywhere else in your life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Take it. All right. We're going to leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for sending us those questions. Again, these questions came from members of the Chase Club, which you can learn more about at chasingexcellence.email. Sign up for the free newsletter, or again, just jump into the Chase Club. We appreciate it. Ben, thank you. We'll be back soon for a brand new episode of Chasing Excellence.